Coming to you from the studios at the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66, it's the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.
Rock and roll Chicago, rock and roll Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock your city, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best you're ever around.
Hey, it's Ray the Roadie.
And this is Ecstatic Mike.
Ecstatic.
Yeah, I'm gonna be different every week depending on my mood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when I shook your hand, I did get a little shock.
My kids have graduated.
Nice.
Yeah. And unbelievable. They're finally freaking done. I can stop sending all that money to Bloomington.
One's a lawyer, one's a doctor.
Yeah, I wish.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're just entering a new phase, brother. I hate to tell you.
Yeah. Oh no, I know. There is no crossing the goal line and spiking the football in this game of life. No, absolutely not. But at least I'm not writing checks anymore and
very good.
Doing all that.
Now they can go to work.
Yeah, that's right. They're going to start feeding the machine.
That's right.
That's right.
Oh, look at you.
See,
you are one clever mofo.
We got feed the machine in the studio tonight, everybody.
We do.
Uh-oh. It's not loud.
There we go. Brought their own fans.
It didn't. How come I didn't hear that? Did you hear that? I didn't hear that.
I didn't. I heard it.
Wow. See, there's something else going on with this thing tonight.
I wonder why. I heard it fine.
That's all right. Whatever it is. You know, whoever comes in here before is always kind of fucks around.
They screw it up. Yep.
They do. All right. So how's it going, guys?
It's going good, man. Thanks for having us.
This is going to be a great podcast, I think, because we were all just kind of hanging out next door at Juliet's because, you know, we got blown off by the
circumstances
first one.
beyond our control.
Our control. Yeah. So, yeah, we got to know each other.
That's right.
Yeah. So a Nickelback tribute band.
Yeah, believe it or not, right?
You know, we're just gonna get the 800-pound gorilla out of the room right now so we can continue on with this, right?
Excuse me, I kind of don't like that talking about. Oh, you weren't talking about me.
I wasn't talking about you. No.
Okay.
Or I wasn't talking about what's with the idiots talking about can 100 people take a gorilla on the internet? Have you seen that shit?
No, I have not.
Have you seen that? Are people freaking idiots?
Yes, I have, and yes, they are. That gorilla will kick every single one of those 100 people. And then eat them.
And then actually, they're herbivores, so maybe not. I don't know.
That one's going to eat those fuckers.
I know. I mean, you know, how stupid. Anyways, let's not talk about stupid people. Let's talk about this band.
Care for a Tide Pod?
Yeah. I'll pass on the Tide Pod, but let's get the 800-pound gorilla, you know, out of the room right now.
Okay.
First of all, I guess this is kind of a rhetorical question. Has there ever been a rock band in the history of rock and roll music that has been more polarizing than the band Nickelback? Can you think of one?
Not really. And you know, I did some research on this.
Yeah.
And you know, who knows, you know, how accurate it is, but there's something to it. I don't remember what the sitcom was, but do you remember there's a tall, bald guy, very nerdy. I think his name is Polson, Brian Polson. He's
that's a name. Yeah.
Different.
Yeah.
And he's totally into metal. At one episode, and I forget what show it was, but Nickelback came up.
That metal show.
What was that?
That metal show.
Oh, he stated.
Pilsen, Brian Pilsen. Is it Pilsen or something like that? Yeah, I know.
Brian Posehn.
Thank you, Jake. That's it. And he made a comment on that episode. Nickelback sucks. They suck. And it kind of blew up. And so the theory, one of the theories out there is that just took a life of its own. And so it was cool to hate Nickelback.
I don't know. I never heard that, but there was a very distinct point in their, I guess somewhere around the height of their popularity where I remember thinking to myself, okay, I don't need to listen to this anymore. And it wasn't because I thought they were bad musicians or a bad band or anything like that. They just became, part of the machine. And they were producing music that started to sound the same over and over and over again. And what did it for me was, Rockstar, is that the song where it was so overproduced and you heard all the voices in the background with the tell me what you need and all that bullshit and everything? I was like, okay, yeah, you know, I'm kind of done with this. But I will admit, when they first hit the scene, I was a pretty big fan. I was actually in a cover band at the time called Static, and we covered some of their stuff and had a blast doing it. But then somewhere around I don't know, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years later, whenever it was, all of a sudden people are like, yeah, I don't need to listen to this anymore. And they became very polarizing because you can have 100 people in a room and 50 people are like, I love Nickelback, and 50 people are, I hate Nickelback. So
I think that's true of anything when it becomes popular, though. Like you reach a point of saturation to where you can't escape it.
yeah,
I mean, I think it's happened with all popular pop musicians as well. I mean, if you think about the people that like the theme to Titanic, that Celine Dion song,
Right,
like people
right.
wanted to like just like throw her off the Titanic.
I still want to peel my face off when I hear it. Yeah, I just want to. Yeah,
It's like, think about like Taylor Swift as well.
Yeah.
Same thing. There are people that like literally wear diapers to her concerts because they don't want to miss a single minute of it. And other people that like were so sick of seeing her on Sunday, football that they like, just the things that they were saying. So I think that's part of it, is that you reach, because even going back further than that, like people, the hatred for Bon Jovi and things like that too.
it did get to that point. Yeah,
So it just happens to where like this one just kind of like there was nothing quite like it at the time. And again, you had that level of like it got picked up by top 40 because prior to that, like the first album when they came out with it that had like Leader of Men, Breathe, things like that on it, that was just on like rock radio.
Right.
Because I remember I had that first album and that's where I first heard it, was essentially just rock radio. And they were more kind of like post grunge, kind of like alternate rock. But then once they released like How You Remind Me.
Well, that was the springboard. That was the springboard because that's what brought them to the show.
Yeah.
And that song became so popular that I believe they ended up re-releasing that first album again, which is the album that Leader of Men was on. And that's the era that I thought they were great. I really did. I thought they were great, and I liked them all the way up into Rockstar. Is kind of where it ended for me.
What's interesting is, and it'd be cool if we all shared our perspectives about how we ended up in this band, right? So first of all, the guy you just heard talking, that's Jake Pearson. He's our lead singer, and we've got Nathan Van Dyke in here with us, guitar. Greg Peterlin on drums, and Greg, this was his brainchild, and he can go a little bit about the history there. My name's John. I'm a guitar player as well. That's correct. Paisan. And so I'll start and maybe we can go along, but the perspective, everything that you guys just noted, but then looking through the lens of the musicians that we've been for a long time. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm a metal guy. Right. I mean, I had 25 years of playing Megadeth in High Speed Dirt, tribute band in town. Right. And then an original progressive metal band, Sacred Dawn. So that's what I cut my teeth on. So if anybody had asked me or said to me, even 2 years ago that I would end up in a Nickelback tribute band, I was like, what are you smoking? Yeah. Please pass it over here post haste. Right. Yeah. But here's the thing. And then I'll just make it short. For me, I was looking for something different to do. Some of these other bands were, we had really good legacy, long, but they were kind of winding down. I was looking for something else to do. And never a big Nickelback fan. Not fan, but not really exposed to them. We all know the hits. We certainly know the radio hits. And, I was aware of them as well. But beyond that, nothing. I was off doing different things. When I came into this band and these guys started sending me songs to learn, and this touches on your point, I was blown away. I could not believe the level of musicianship. Yep. And some of these songs, these guitar tones are hard and heavy, which is not a stretch from the world that I came from. Right. So I've been having a hell of a great time learning these songs and performing them. Yeah, we touch on the hits and the people love them. The girls love to sing to them. And then we grab people's throats and we just rip. And the reaction is, one, holy shit, that's Nickelback. Yeah. And two, I'm going to take a look at this band and get into some, of their other songs, and hopefully they'll come back, to one of our shows. So that's how I came into this band. And I kind of still can't believe I'm in a Nickelback band, but I'm really happy that I
am. No, as long as you're having fun with it. And you kind of hit the nail on the head, because I think we talk about this all the time. The first thing that came out of your mouth was, the girls were loving it. Okay. Yeah. Girls love it. Guys hang out. They buy drinks for the girls, bar owner happy. I mean, that's the way the way it goes, right?
One more thing, and then I'll pass it to Greg. I mean, the bottom line is, at this stage of my playing career, in my age and what I've done. And, it can be pretty stressful to be in a band at times unless you get that rare gem where everybody's just rowing the boat in the same direction and the work ethics are really cool and there's no egos and you just get after business, right? Mm-hmm. So if I was going to do something new, it was going to be if I'm going to put time and effort into this thing, I don't want to deal with that stuff if I can help it, right? There's some of it always, but I think we're on to something really cool here because we don't have a heck of a lot of that. And we're still a newish band. Sure. We're just getting rolling. But so far, it's been very, very encouraging.
Right.
So, Grego.
And very little competition.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We are the tallest midgets.
So I don't
know if we can say midget live.
I don't know. We'll have our legal department check into that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I had this brainchild, and what I've noticed.
What was his name? No. Okay. Feed the machine. Yeah.
Anyways, I noticed that there's a whole bunch of Nickelback fans that are in the closet, and then once they walk out of that closet and admit.
Wow, look at that.
Because I've noticed, like, going to a stop sign, you hear it's jamming the radio, and then you get to the stoplight, and then they turn the radio down. And then the light turns green, and they turn it back up. Yeah. So that's the weird thing about this.
Yeah. We're not picking on Nickelback. We're just talking about reality. Really, we're talking about a reality. Whenever anybody mentions Nickelback, I don't care what channel or streaming service, whatever you're, Nickelback. That happens. And is it justified or not? We don't know. That's kind of what we're not going to solve that problem tonight, but you're right. I see that happen all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
So what do you do in the band?
I'm the guitarist, one of the guitar players.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So I remember how I got involved with this was I remember seeing the initial post. Mm-hmm. Like, who wants to start a Nickelback tribute band? I'm like, that's genius. That's genius because it's everybody kind of likes Nickelback. They're going to say, oh, I hate them. But like Greg was saying, there's people that won't admit to it. I'm like, this is going to be one way or another. Yeah, if it's done right, this is going to be cool. Right. And I reached out to him. I was like, I have to try to get into this gig. And when I was told, well, we already got somebody. I believe it was John by the time I got into it. And I was like, oh, well. And then John reached out to me again. He's like, join the band. I was like, okay, let me see if I can get all my ducks in a row. Cause I got to get all the scheduling. And, when he finally convinced me to do it and, we got in that room. I was like, this is going to be awesome. Yeah. This is going to be one of the coolest things that in my music career thus far, is going to witness. So I was like, this is cool. Right. So
their music is fun to play.
Oh, it's great.
There's no doubt about that.
And like what John was saying earlier about the musicianship, I was blown away. And like the cool part about Nickelback in my life was when I first started playing guitar back in like 98, 99, Leader of Men was like their hit at the time. That was like the original OG song for them.
And that's still my favorite song.
Right. And I was like very, very new to the guitar. And when I figured out how to play in that tuning, that drop D tuning, and I was able to play that song I was like, this is awesome. And then, when,
the tunings.
And then when like, How You Remind Me came out, like I watched Chad, play on the music video. I was like, this is awesome. I'm actually learning something from this guy. And then when I learned Too Bad, I was like, this band's awesome. Now, if you would have asked me back then, are you going to be in a tribute band Nickelback 25 years later or so? I would be like, absolutely not. No. But this is one of the greatest experiences I've thus far have had in my career, and I'm blessed to be here. Yeah. So this is a really cool opportunity, and here we go, guys.
Yeah, that's good. And I agree with that because, am I going to go out of my way to download some Nickelback stuff or you go to Spotify and listen to Nickelback? No, but I'll tell you what though, if some friends of mine said, hey, we're going to go out, we're going to see this band. Okay, that's cool. Let's go. And we get there and it's a Nickelback tribute band. After I've had a few cocktails and the place is packed and everybody's having a good time. Yeah, I'm probably screaming at the top of my lungs along with everybody else singing the songs, and everybody else in that bar or that club is probably in the same boat than I am. Like they wouldn't give it a second thought, but once they're there, they're having a good time. Yeah. I totally get that. So
that's what we've been experiencing, so far, even at this early stage. We've got about 4 shows under our belt, and we're building on every single one of them. And that's happening and that's exciting for all of us.
Right.
So,
Right. So you're the singer.
I am.
Yeah. How are you enjoying this ride?
I approached it. So essentially I'm in several other bands. This is my fourth band. And so kind of my bread and butter typically is more 80s centric.
Wow.
But
Interesting.
the thing that I liked about this is that I also like challenges and I like to continue to evolve and push myself as a musician. So part of that was that, oh, there we go.
See?
There we go. Get some ASMR now. So
Tell me what you need.
yeah, exactly. See, there you go. There we go again. It all comes
I want a quesadilla.
But that was the thing, is that it was something different essentially, and kind of like it's a different demographic as well, to get into as well, broadening the audience that I play for, and just kind of. And the other thing that it kind of came down to as I got into the catalog a little bit more is that essentially Nickelback is very similar in a lot of ways to a lot of the 80s bands. It's basically just modern hair metal in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's about the same stuff. A lot of the guitar riffs are the same in a lot of ways. It's just down-tuned in some cases.
Right.
So there's a lot of similarities there in that regard. So, yeah. And at the end of the day, the other thing too is that, you're not trying to change the world with it. It's just Nickelback.
Yeah.
It's just a good time. At the same time. So, and the other thing that I like as a performer is, I was a theater kid. I like to perform for people. So that's the thing too. People are having a good time. They can leave their worries at the door. So if they're having a good time, I'm glad that I can give that to them.
Right. Good.
I'm Ray. I have nothing to do with this band.
Yeah.
But I'm going to make some enemies and some friends right now.
Yeah. Let's hear this.
I like Creed and Nickelback.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I always have.
Disagree with that.
I like them both.
They're both phenomenal bands. I mean, they really, when it comes right down to it, across the board, and the songwriting is solid.
But there's a division. You got your Creed lovers and Nickelback lovers, but I like them both. Yeah. I go both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, we've heard that. Yeah, we did. That's okay. That's all right. No, I was a big Creed fan.
Mm-hmm.
I was that. I mean, that band that I was in, Static, pretty much almost started as a Creed tribute band. Like the first 12 songs we learned were like Creed songs. And he was like, yeah, we can't just do Creed songs.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a lot of other stuff as well.
Talking about just doing Creed songs.
Yeah.
Is Nickelback all you guys do?
As of right now, yes.
Okay.
I mean, when it comes down to it as well, like Nickelback has such a big catalog. They're one of those bands that, is being in other tribute bands, it can get tough to keep people for more than a 50 to an hour set for the most part, right? Because people think it's great. They're like, man, I really like that band, until you sit in a place and listen to it for an hour straight, and you really gotta like that band.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Now I'm ready for something else.
Yeah, exactly.
People's
So there's
attention spans.
the handful of bands you can get away with that is like the Metallicas of the world. Weirdly enough, Guns N' Roses, they got 3 albums, but still people sit there.
Well, you can do that when your songs are like 15 minutes long. You can do that.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got some of those bands. Nickelback is actually one of those bands when you dive into it, because you can easily get about 90 minutes, and most of them were actually, they were all probably in the top 40, or at least they were all, you can go to like YouTube and look up the videos, and there's millions, tens of millions, if not in some cases, hundreds of millions of views on them.
Right.
So that's the thing, is that it's one of those bands too, to where like you can actually fill a 90-minute set of just Nickelback.
Right.
You don't have to dip into some of those other kind of related artists. In this case, like, Creed, your Three Doors Downs, those kind of things that are probably in the same kind of like era and kind of like genre.
Yeah, I guess you guys would, related songs, you guys would have to start doing like some Avril Lavigne and stuff like that then.
Are they still together?
Related by marriage.
I don't know. Are they?
I used to work with her. She's a peach.
Yeah. That's what I've heard.
Yeah. And, to Jake's point, a 90-minute set, I mean, we have a really nice balance so far. And the catalog is small, comparatively speaking to where we're going to get. But it's a really nice mix of, it's the hits. And they love singing to them. And then there's several in the set that are just will rip your face off. And some people will know them and appreciate it. And others have no idea. But then they're like, are you kidding me? Right. And then they go back and they get deeper into the catalog and hopefully come back and bring some friends next time. So we're kind of capitalizing on all of that. But yeah, it's all covered.
So you guys aren't doing like full nights of entertainment at clubs by yourself, then you're maybe a closing act or an opening act or something like that. Is that pretty much how it's going?
Yeah, currently right now, I mean, we're doing like right now we do 90 minutes for the most part. I mean, we have not, because I mean, what is this? I mean, the 5th show, something like that. I mean, again, we're really early on in the stages of the project for the most part. So,
okay.
Yes, we've done right now headlining 90 minutes so far. Okay. I mean, would we do, I don't know if we would ever do like 3 hours of
I don't know why we would ever want to.
Nickelback doesn't want to do 3 hours of Nickelback. Right. You know what I mean?
There's no reason to. There's no reason to. When you play the clubs around here, you're getting a 45-minute set. You're getting an hour, maybe a $1.50.
Yeah, right.
We've got some fests that were just closed here just recently. One of them that I can announce. We're going to be playing West Chicago Railroad Days on Saturday, June 28th. In the evening. Be a really nice opportunity for us. A lot of people out there, really good exposure opportunity for us, and people love it.
That works out great since today's June 17th.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. And we're going to be playing Tribute Island on Friday, August 1st. So, we're dipping our toes into that area as well. And, those are, 90-minute sets as well. I hope that we don't have to really cross that bridge where someone's wanting us for 3 hours. I mean, we'll consider it, but why? I don't see the necessity.
Right. So let's take a step back.
Depends
you said
how green their money is.
Yeah.
Bingo. Bingo.
You're listening to the Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast.
Your Sunday nights just got a whole lot bluesier. Get ready for the Bus Stop Blues, a show that takes you deep into the soul of the blues with classic hits, road stories, and live jam sessions. Hosted by bluesman Kevin Purcell and me, the one and only Road Bill. The Bus Stop Blues is 2 hours of nonstop blues, banter, and badassery. Check out the Bus Stop Blues podcast at thebusstopblues.com, where you can listen on Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, or any other major podcast platform. Up on board the Bus Stop Blues, where the blues never stops rolling.
Hey everybody, it's Ray the Roadie.
And this is Hollywood Mike of the Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast. If you've been enjoying our weekly program, we have great news for you. Just tune in to Road to Rock Radio on Mondays at 7 p.m. Central Time, and you can hear a rebroadcast of one of our past episodes. Then again on Thursdays at 7 p.m., you can hear our most current episode brought to you by the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66.
So go to roadtorock.org, scroll down and click on radio station. That'll bring you to the Road to Rock Radio, a station committed entirely to the great music from Illinois, from Chicago blues born on Maxwell Street to today's rock and roll and everything in between. 24/7, all music with its roots in Illinois.
You said you're about 5 shows in. Is that what you just said?
Roughly.
So you guys haven't been together that long. Well, back up and
a year.
This month configuration.
A year.
Gotcha.
This year.
So you made the first phone call then to put this band. Who was the first person you called?
Well, it's funny. I was in 2 bands at the time.
Right.
And they were not really active. So I just went on Facebook in December of 2023 and made this random post. I'm thinking of forming a new band. It will be the most hated cover band around.
Right.
And then everybody knew who I was talking about. And then boom, 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 boom. So I had a bass player within the first 20 minutes.
Wow.
We had a guitar player about an hour later. It was crazy.
Right.
Oh, I can contest. When I saw that first thing, I was like, I got to jump on this.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to miss out,
So if you knew it was going to be the most hated cover band ever, what made you do it anyway?
It's different.
Okay. Yeah. But I'm tired of being glorified. I want to suck for a little while.
Yes. But if I was a guitar player, there's absolutely no way I would be doing this.
Right.
There's 9 tunings? 10?
Yeah.
Okay, you're surrounded by 2 guitar players, so
what do I know?
As of now, the lowest we've gone with Nickelback is drop A sharp, which would be drop B flat, however you want to look at it.
However you want to look at it.
2 whole steps down.
We're at 6 different tunings right now.
Wow.
So it's just what they do, and so we've adapted, and we make it work.
Wow.
What's the one song that you're tuned differently to him that was
Someday? I believe that's the one.
Everyone's tuned differently.
John's in drop B, and I'm still in drop C.
So is Nickelback the band that started all that bullshit? I mean, people say, let's go to drop C.
They can write really great music in that tuning. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
They're really great songwriters when it comes to that drop tuning for sure.
Yeah.
And like, really, to be honest with you, like 98% of their writings is in those tunings, the drop tunings at least, and then whatever.
To respond to your question, I think why Greg has been persistent over a lot of years to try and get this kind of a thing going, and given everything that we've said about, the band's rep, and, warranted or not, we certainly saw it as an opportunity. And especially as we started learning these songs and we just started opening our eyes going, we had no idea. I mean, Jake, I know you did. You're much well versed in more of the 80s stuff too, but I had no idea. But as we started doing this, we knew that if we delivered the goods with the musicianships and the history that we all have, and we've all been doing this a long time, that if we delivered the goods and turned some heads, that there is regardless of what people say, how they feel about the band, there is a big market. I mean, you can go out as a Slayer band.
Yep.
You can. And I mean, good friends of mine are Rain and Blood in this town, and they are really, really good. In fact, I told the head guy, I said, if you guys could fit it in your life, you guys could tour nationally. And they're that good.
Right.
But it's a limited audience.
Yeah,
right. But with this, it's potentially massive. And regardless of what people say, because there's more people that like the music than pretend to hate the music. And we just want to capture as many people that like it and come along for the ride as possible.
So from a logistics standpoint, like logistics question, I guess, with so many different tunings, how many guitars do you guys have on stage with you? I mean, you're not tuning them, but you're not tuning one guitar at the end of every song.
With
right?
modern technology, for me, I got one guitar.
Okay.
Because I got the pedal.
You got a roto tuner or a robo? No. Well,
it's a down tune. It's a down pedal, drop pedal.
Okay.
And I can go, if I stay in standard drop tuning, I can go in between, E flat, C, B, A, et cetera, et cetera.
So
just
you're
by
not
a click of a switch.
So you're not touching your tuning pegs at all. You're just stepping on a pedal.
I'm just stepping on a pedal. Yeah.
That's Nathan, though. I got a different story there. I can tell you, I struggled with it for a while. I really had to think long and hard. Let me finish this thought
real quick though. So when you're talking about being in, drop B flat or whatever the heck it is, are you just tuning that low E down, or are you tuning across? It's just the one string.
Yeah, the low E will go down.
Okay.
Like, to the musicians out there, down a whole step.
Right.
And then everything else is standard tuning.
Okay.
And then with the technology, with the drop pedal, like it takes that semitone down.
Okay.
So I guess the same as if I did it, one half step, a half step down, drop C sharp, which would be, one semitone down and so forth and so forth. So like being able to have that ability to have like one great guitar and be able to go from, this to that to this to that is quite nice, because you don't have to carry the load of having, 5 guitars on stage,
right?
Which would be crazy,
and forgetting which one is which and grab the wrong one, and it sounds like ass. Yeah.
But the more that we're getting into this, I'm starting to kind of teeter-totter having at least one or two more just to tighten up the tones, because sometimes, when you're in one tuning and then you use the technology, it could be a little bit weird. So like I'm starting to think now I might go and have a couple extra guitars just for flavor. So.
Yeah, because even that digital stuff can sound a little squishy,
right? You want to try to keep it more the closest to authenticity as possible.
Because it's basically a pitch shifter for a guitar instead of a voice, so it can have that effect on it. Yeah,
and another reason to buy a new guitar.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let's get this straight. You never need a reason to buy another guitar.
No, you don't. No. But sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to account for them.
Sometimes it's just like going to the hardware store and buying that bag of beef jerky because it's there. It really is. That's the way it works with guitars. Yeah. So
I've heard that before. It's true.
You were going to say something about your tuning.
Yeah. So, I gave this a lot of thought. I own a lot of guitars, not as many as Jake here. Jake's got an illness. I'm I own a lot of guitars, and as I was ramping up into this band, I really gave a lot of thought about how am I going to tackle this? You know, what guitars am I going to use? What am I going to set up to what tuning and this and that? And I resisted the drop pedal. I mean, I've never had it on my board, but as I got into this, I recognized pretty quickly that it was going to be needed. So through the evolution of my thought process of how in the hell am I going to handle? I don't want to carry 5, 6, 7 guitars around to rehearsal and or live, but you could with this band. So what happened with me is I've ended up, and this is going to answer part of your question. So I have a guitar that's standard E. And the tunes that are in E flat, I just transpose. Right. I don't want to deal with another guitar. Right. I got a guitar that's tuned to drop D. Now I can use that one with the pedal and go down further if I want. But I have a third guitar. So it's a 3 guitar rotation for me. And that third guitar is tuned in drop C already. Right. And then I'll use the pedal to go to B and then A on this new tune that we're learning. So it was really an evolution with me and a lot of thought about how in the hell and which guitars actually am I going to use and get set up and do some maintenance and this and that. And so I've kind of settled into a 3 guitar rotation. Sometimes I only bring 2 to practice and just use the drop pedal because I just don't want to lug 3 guitars around. But live, I bring them with me. Yeah. I bring them with me. So we're up to 6 tunings. It's a pain in the ass, but we're adjusting and making it work.
And thousands of dollars worth of money spent on setups.
Right.
You know, man, I can't imagine that. You know, you go into drop C sharp and all of a sudden the neck of your guitar just isn't where it's supposed to be.
No.
I have it lucky. I'm tuned to E flat as the drummer. So it works out for me.
Yeah. We've already established many times we don't give the drummer a microphone. Be quiet. Wow. That's interesting. That's good. So where have you guys been playing? You've only done 5 shows, but where have you been playing?
So let's see here. We have played, we just did a show at the Piazza. What was that, last weekend?
Nice.
Last week.
That's a fun place.
Aurora.
How was the turnout? How'd you guys like that place?
It was great. Yeah. And so, going along, talking about my sacrifice and the Nickelback and the Creed band. So we had a little bit of a Creedleback action going on there.
Creedleback.
Yeah. That's patent pending.
Creedleback. I think that's a species of turtle, actually. That's the Creedleback turtle.
That is. We are a species of turtle. We are slowly rising up.
There you go.
Is that of the snapping variety?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So we've played there. We played out at Tony D's, more on the north side. So up by
Elmwood Park.
Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. Elmwood Park. We're doing JMO's at the end of the month here. So we're playing there.
That's up by you. Yeah.
In Mokina on 91st Street. Yeah. If they're listening, we are looking for sponsors.
We are looking for sponsors. Absolutely.
Bourbon Street, which is another great venue that we've played at.
That's the perfect venue for Nickelback.
I got to jump in here.
Also, Davern's Tavern.
Davern's Tavern. It was their 13th anniversary.
Is the place really called Davern's Tavern?
Yeah, it is. Joe Davern owns it. I got to jump in here with Jake, letting you know what our shows are. He mentioned Bourbon Street, and I got to share this story. So Jake was not a part of the original lineup of the band. We had another guy who was helping us out, didn't know if he was, going to be the guy, but was very valuable as we were learning these thongs from the beginning. It was very helpful to have him involved. Had some health issues, and decided to take a step back. And we had talked to Jake about, hey man, we got this show. It's at Bourbon Street. It's really our first inaugural show, and it's going to be a big one for us, right? We got to do this right. Do you have any interest in maybe helping us out, and filling in for us? And by God, he did. And it was a very special night. And we won't have to go deep into this, and we all have our different perspectives on it. But for me, it was a very special night all across the board. The performance, the crowd reaction, the promoter, the venue, the reactions, the feedback that we got afterwards, it all kind of came to a head. And a lot of that was directed toward Jake. And that was the night. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the night that he decided to jump in and be the guy. Now, I don't know if I've ever told you this point blank, but, I had been talking to Jake prior for months. We're doing this thing, we'd love to have you involved. Lots of, all good reasons. And I knew we were going to play that show with Jake, but I still was of the mindset, he's a busy guy. He's got these other bands. We don't know if, can he fit this into his life and this and that. And so I was of the mindset that we're going to play the show. We're going to do a good job, and, hopefully things will go real well. And hopefully, Jake can even see more of the picture of what this band might be, capable of, the potential of it. And so I just thought that, we played the show, and after the show, I'd follow up with Jake and, hey, you had fun and this and that. Thank you so much for filling in for us and this and that. I really had no idea that night and what happened that night would cause him to jump in. And we're kind of blessed by that. I don't want to embarrass you.
And this was at Bourbon Street.
This was at Bourbon Street. So it was a very magical night. And that really ultimately, all those cool things that happened that night really opened the door for Jake coming in to the band on a full-time basis. And we can't be, more thrilled about it.
Well, that place just breeds that type of attitude. That's a really cool place to play.
Oh, yeah.
It really
Thank you
is.
for joining us for Confessions of a Rock Musician.
Yes.
Tune in next week.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to comment on that.
Oh, no, I can't.
No?
So, yeah.
Don't leave me hanging here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the thing is that, like John touched on, it was one of those things that I was jumping in to help him out. I knew that was going to be a great kind of springboard for the band. It's a great stage, good draw, good audience. And also just looking at it from a standpoint, like you want to put your best foot forward.
Right.
Like this is really going to be kind of you're showing out to the to the public. Right. And also like anytime you get to play a stage like that, you want to like, any pictures, any video that you have, that's stuff that you can use in promotional.
Right.
So that's, I wanted them to have their best foot forward. They're, great people. So, and then from there, it was one of those things to where enough of the feedback and thinking about it again from a standpoint of, like I talked about before, a lot of my bread and butter is, I'm an 80s guy, a lot of that stuff. Right. But I also like a challenge in regards to where, like, I'm in a Wasp tribute band. Okay. So, that's a thing. Like, if we're talking about bands to where it's.
That is a whole other discussion.
So, I do Blood, the Saw Blades.
Okay. So, what you're going to do when you go home tonight, you're going to look up our calendar and you're going to book that band on this podcast. That's right. Podcast. A Wasp tribute. Okay. Now I've heard it all.
Yeah.
I thought I've heard it all. I didn't hear it all until just now.
And Jake, let me interrupt real quick. I'm glad you brought up your Wasp band, Wild Child. And my girlfriend and I, it was several years ago, High Speed Dirt was playing, and we were sharing a bill with Jake's band, and we were blown away.
Yeah,
I had not met Jake prior, and we were just blown away by the band and blown away by Jake. And, he plays guitar and he lead sings in that band, and. And this was long before I even got, the post about, trying to put a Nickelback band together and my interest in it. So this was long before then. But as that started to happen, and I know Christine stalks you, and I apologize 1,000 times for that. She really creeps on Jake, but that's okay, Christine. Don't worry about it.
We all have those.
Right. And it was like when this was starting to happen, and we knew that we had some vocalist issues that was going to have to be addressed. Christina, and Jake, I'll be very transparent with you. We were like, that's the guy. I mean, what if? I mean, wouldn't that be great if that guy, could come along for the ride? And many, many months later, and many conversations, and that show at Bourbon Street, made it happen.
Yeah.
To bring it kind of full circle to how that relates also then to the Nickelback thing. So it's a very similar thing, right? Because a lot of people, like with a band like that, they're like, they might know a song or two. I view it as a challenge to win over the audience. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing that I view with the Nickelback band, is that so I've never had I'd be amused if somebody ever threw a tomato at me. Nobody ever has. So go ahead, bring your produce. It's fine.
You are not a real singer yet. Then if you've never had shit thrown at you, no.
Exactly. Honestly, yeah. I mean, egg costs have gone down now, but back when they were high, I'd invite people to throw your eggs at me too.
Eggs at me.
We're the good old Booze Brothers boys.
That's right.
Nickel Creek back band.
But that's the thing. It just makes me work harder.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing. And that's one of the other rewarding things about it, is that if I can convert you regardless, and then if my job essentially as kind of somebody that is a tribute artist or somebody like that, that's paying homage to these other artists, is that I'm not ripping them off. My goal then is to make you then go home and then listen to them and go and get into that. It's if I am your gateway into going in and being man, that was actually, better than I thought, then that's my job. Yeah. Right. In that regard. So then it's more so especially as more and more of these artists age out a little bit. Right. So that's still you're keeping the music alive in that regards. Cause I mean, none of us are doing this to get rich. None of us are doing this to get famous, right? We all do it for different reasons. Sure, it's a couple bucks in your pocket, maybe, for the most part. But also you're doing it for whatever reason. For me, that's what it is. I get satisfaction from that, going out and performing, bringing that to people, making people happy. You leave your worries at the door, and then you go home happy. Yeah.
Once you're on stage, it really isn't about the material. Yeah. Yeah. The truth. So, let's wrap this up. I feel like we opened this whole thing. We had to talk about that 800-pound gorilla. We had to. I mean, you can't interview a Creed tribute band without talking about that aspect of it. I don't want to end it like this. Or I'm sorry, Nickelback. That's right. I don't want to. Creedleback. Same thing. The Creedleback. It's the Creedleback turtle.
But you're right. You're absolutely
right. Let's not end it on that note. So I'll go first. Let's go around the table. I'll go first, and I'm going to say something positive about Nickelback. Right. Mm-hmm. And this is the God honest truth. So I'm in a band called Static, 20 some years ago, or whenever the heck it was. I can't even remember. And we're playing some crappy bowling alley in Schaumburg. And, it was the two guitar players that decided, hey, this song Leader of Men is really cool. Right. And I think we can do it. It's pretty easy. We got to figure it out. Do you know it? I said, yeah, I actually happen to know it. I was just the lead singer in the band. And so we get to the middle of the song and everybody's kind of looking at each other like, okay, what do we do now? It's kind of like that story with the Beatles in the studio where John Lennon would always say, well, what are we going to do with the middle eight? Right. So we're kind of there in the middle going, okay, what are we going to do? I grabbed a harmonica out of my pocket and put a harmonica solo into that song. And that song became a regular part of our set list with the harmonica solo and everything.
That's wow.
So imagine a harmonica solo.
So it was pretty cool that it was that song. I mean, it was just, in my opinion, it was crying out for something like that. And I did it, and we played it that way for years.
I would have gone Glockenspiel.
Glockenspiel would have been good. Mm-hmm. Would have been good. So
harpsichord for me.
Anybody jump in? Anybody? Let's end it on a positive note.
Well, again, it's to be a little bit repetitive. I shared the school of guitar that I came from, but playing this material is not that much of a stretch from where I come from. And really, Jake said, he is a performer, and he is the quintessential frontman, and his job, and he won't be happy until he brings those people in and they get it, and away we go. Right. I just love playing guitar, man. I mean, I know that, the days that are behind me are a lot more than the days that are in front of me. And I just love playing guitar, and I've loved learning this material material. The guys in this band are great. I really do think we have some potential to achieve some really cool goals for ourselves. And so that's what motivates me. And I just enjoy playing the material with these guys. And yeah, we are 4 or 5 shows into it. So we're still in the beginning stages of this band, and the reactions have been great. We're getting promoters in our camp. We're getting venues to take notice. And, so that's already mission accomplished, and that's just something to build on. So that's why I'm really excited about what we're doing.
Awesome.
I mean, yeah, and my background a little bit before, like with the whole Nickelback thing, is like I come from like Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, John Petrucci, Dream Theater, virtuoso guitar players like that, and I've always been in that styles of music. And then when I started playing this Nickelback with these guys, I was like, this is some of the greatest, and people probably have their opinions, but some of the greatest songwriting I've ever come across. And it's got the simple, but it's got the rock formula and all that kind of stuff. But, Chad, that dude, like, give him credit. He's in my opinion, he's one of the greatest songwriters that's going to be in our lifetime, So it's been such a great experience being able to play this music. And like I said earlier, it's like from my early beginnings, I started with Nickelback a little bit, watching Chad on MTV, How You Remind Me, learning how to make a power chord, correctly, and so like, there's a lot of, back early Nickelback for me. So it's, and being able to have an opportunity to be in this, with these great guys and seeing something like this grow into something we're hoping that's going to be great. It's just a blessing, so it's all the above. This is just awesome. I hope everybody gets a chance to come see us. You're not going to regret it. I can promise you that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, this band is actually my wife's fault. 100%.
Whoa.
Back in the 90s, I'm listening to CDs of Dream Theater, Symphony X, whatever. When we're in a car, she would put on Nickelback, and then, I'm like, oh God. And then eventually it grew on me, and then she took me to a Nickelback concert, and then boom. And well, here we are.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. I think that about wraps it up, unless you guys want to tell us. So how can people find you? Websites, stuff like that?
Home phone numbers.
Yeah.
1-888. No. Feed the Machine Chicago at Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's it. Very simple.
Yep. No website or anything yet. Just Facebook and
just
going
Facebook.
by, which is still a great way of doing it. It really is. Yeah. Okay. And what do you guys got coming up? You got any shows coming up in like end of June, July, stuff like that?
We got May 30th at JMO's.
May 30th at James.
Yeah, we'll be with My Sacrifice.
Well, that was a good show.
That was a great show.
That was a fantastic show. We were there at that show.
This doesn't air till June 17th.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It was great. They rocked. It was great.
Did. It was awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So, hey, check these guys out. Go see them, right? It was great talking to you guys.
Likewise.
Appreciate you being here.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you, boys.
There you have it. Feed the Machine.
The Nickelback tribute band. You know what? That was actually fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like I said, I like them both.
Yeah. It's at first I didn't know what to make of it, but they're absolutely right. It's one of those bands where every song that you know of is in the top 40. And, yeah, I bet you'd have a good time.
Yep. And they're going to grow on people. People are going to realize that, I really don't hate Nickelback.
Yeah.
So I like their music.
Yeah. All you do is put the tough side away, and the ego away and the whole bit, and go hang out at a place, listen to some Nickelback, and there's probably going to be hot women there.
That's right.
Hot chicks like Nickelback.
That's right.
Yeah.
So get out there and see these guys. They're going to be all over the place.
That's right.
And thanks for listening to us as you do every week on the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast. Check us out every Tuesday for another exciting new episode. See you next week. The Rock and Roll Chicago podcast is edited by Paul Martin. Theme song courtesy of M&R Rush. The Rock and Roll Chicago podcast does not own the rights to any of the music heard on the show. The music is used to promote the guests that are featured.
Rock and roll, Chicago.